Hi and welcome to VCSP how-to videos. In this video we will talk about Veeam Cloud Connect, adding cloud gateways and deploy TLS certificate. So what is a cloud gateway? So the Cloud Connect infrastructure is configured at the service provider and is hidden from the tenants. The tenants only know about the cloud repositories and the cloud hosts and can work with them as locally deployed backup repositories and target hosts. Veeam backup servers on the tenant side do not communicate with cloud repositories and cloud hosts directly. All data communication and transfers are always carried out through the cloud gateways. So you can look at the cloud gateway as an appliance that sits at the service provider side and acts as a communication point to route commands and traffic between the tenant VBR server, the service provider VBR server, and other Cloud Connect infrastructure components. The cloud gateway can run on either Microsoft Windows or it can run on Linux. And on top of that, it runs the Cloud Gateway service, which is installed automatically once you add it to the backup infrastructure. So before it could run only on Windows, today since version 13, so to say, it can run also on Linux, and then it can be either Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9.6, or it can also run the new Veeam Infrastructure Appliance. So there are several deployment scenarios. So there can be a shared deployment or there can be a dedicated deployment, right? So first of all, so to say, the data flows for different tenants, they are always securely fenced off on the cloud gateway. So this eliminates the risk of data interference and interception. So a tenant always terminates at the cloud gateway and then all the traffic starts from the cloud gateway to the internal components, right? Also, Veeam Backup and Replication supports automatic failover between cloud gateways that are configured in the Cloud Connect infrastructure. And when a tenant connects to the service provider, it uses either a DNS name or an IP address of any of the cloud gateways. And the tenant receives the list of all the configured cloud gateways. So basically, if the primary cloud gateway is unavailable, then the backup server on the tenant will just fail over to the other cloud gateway that it received in the list, right? So there are two deployment scenarios. First one is shared, the other one is dedicated. So shared means that you as a service provider, you will deploy one or more cloud gateways that works with one or more tenants. Very simple standard deployment. The other one is that you have a dedicated deployment. So you deploy one or more cloud gateways that work with a single tenant. So maybe this customer has a lot of virtual machines or a lot of physical machines, and you want to dedicate one or more gateways to this customer to make sure that you meet the SLA. Next, you can also use cloud gateway pools, right? In large-scale Veeam Cloud Connect infrastructures with multiple gateways, you might want to restrict access to some gateways or even allocate them dedicated to specific tenant. So a pool is actually a logical grouping of one or more cloud gateways. So for example, you could have a shared pool for the bulk of the customers. You could have another pool that is dedicated for an important client because they have a large amount of machines that they want to send you, or they're just important and they have a high SLA. So another option could be that you have a dedicated pool for a direct connection into the data center. So it uses a different network connection, doesn't go directly through the internet. Or you could also have a dedicated pool just to split off a different service. So you use one pool for offsite backup, you use another dedicated pool for replication and or CDP data traffic. Then also, to secure all the traffic, we must deploy the TLS certificates, right? This makes sure that communication between components is carried out over a TLS connection and is secured right, with the TLS certificate. So this TLS certificate is used for verification of trust. It helps the service provider and the tenants identify themselves and make sure that parties taking part in data transfer are really the ones that they claim to be. So important is that Veeam Backup and Replication does not use TLS certificates to encrypt the data traffic itself, right? For data encryption, Veeam Backup and Replication uses the same encryption methods and algorithms as in the regular backup infrastructure, which is by default AES 256-bit encryption, right? So basically how the encryption works here is whenever a job starts or a task starts and is targeted at a cloud repository or a cloud host, the parties perform a TLS handshake to authenticate themselves. So to connect to the Cloud Connect resources, the backup server on the tenant side sends a request to the Cloud Gateway. Next, the Cloud Gateway passes this request to the service provider backup server. Next, the service provider backup server exposes this TLS certificate installed on the VBR server and exposes it to the tenant VBR server through the Cloud Gateway. Then the tenant VBR server will check if the exposed TLS certificate is trusted or it matches the TLS certificate saved in the VBR database. And last, if all is good, the service provider Veeam Backup and Replication server establishes the secure connection or secure communication channel in the Veeam Cloud Connect infrastructure, and VM data from the cloud tenant can then be transported to the cloud repository or cloud host securely. Now, last but not least is the public DNS configuration. So each cloud gateway must have its own public IPv4 address, regardless of whether the IP is directly configured on the cloud gateway or it's on a NAT gateway in front of it, right? To resolve the public DNS names of cloud gateways to IP addresses, the service provider must create separate A record for each IP address, right? So as you can see here, so we have a example backup.provider.com. That's the public DNS name that we will give to our tenants, right? Easy to remember, just a single one. Behind that, we have gateway 01, we have gateway 02, maybe later we will add gateway 03 and 4 and so on, right? So each of these gateways must have its own public IPv4 address and of course public DNS name. So these names must then be configured in the DNS as each gateway, for example, gateway 01 resolves to 1.1.1.1, gateway 02 resolves to 2.2.2.2, and then also the public DNS, the shared name, must resolve to each of the IPs of the gateways. So this makes sure that if gateway 01 is unavailable, that automatically the tenant backup server will fail over to gateway 02 and communication can continue. Backup data or application data can continue to flow over the other gateways. So let's now dive into a quick demo and let's have a look. So let's have a look in Veeam Cloud Connect how we can actually configure this. So on the Veeam Backup Application Server with Cloud Connect license installed, we go to Cloud Connect, right? And that's the place where we need to set up a cloud gateway. So first of all, let's deploy the certificate. So if we click on Veeam Cloud Connect on the top, we can see the order in which it's best to configure. So we click on Manage Certificates. This is the place where you can configure a self-signed certificate or import your own certificate, right? So in my case, I've got my own certificate, so we'll import it. It will override the existing certificate that is installed. We will browse to the certificate. I got my own PFX, could be a PEM file. You can then specify the password. It will read the certificate. As you can see, I've got a certificate done by Let's Encrypt, and then we say finish, and it will be automatically pushed to all of the cloud gateways. That's it. So now when the tenant VBR servers connect to the Cloud Connect service, it will show the proper official certificate so that everything looks good. Next, we need to add a cloud gateway. So if we just click on Add Cloud Gateway, we can here also click on Add New in case you haven't added any Windows or Linux machine yet. So you need to roll them out first. If it's Linux, again, you can also use the Veeam infrastructure appliance that makes it a little bit easier to deploy. Other than that, let's just go with an existing one and run through the settings. So as you can see, this is a Windows server machine, and we've got external port already defined 6180. So this means this is the port on which the cloud gateway publicly will be available, right? So if you change this, you can make sure to update your own documentation, because for us it's always 6180. Next, this is where you need to specify the public DNS name. Again, it should be the public DNS name of this gateway. Okay, so not the shared name, so not backup.provider.com. It should be the public DNS name for this specific cloud gateway. Otherwise, you will run into issues sooner or later. So configure this. Then we set next. It will push the cloud gateway service, right? It's the same whether it's on Windows or on Linux. And then we say apply. So simple as that. It will connect to the machine, it will push the package, and it will install it. Simple as that. So then we can use this cloud gateway. To show you the same on a Linux machine, so if I take a Linux one, this one has been deployed with the Veeam infrastructure appliance on v13, shows exactly all the same settings. So that makes it pretty easy. If you want to configure a pool, then you can just say add gateway pool, you specify a name, and then you can pick the pool or the gateway better and add it to the pool. Up to you. After that, you can use this pool and add it to a specific tenant or to multiple tenants so that they will only use this pool. That's it. Very simple. Thanks for watching.